There comes a time in every young boy's life where he becomes obsessed with lizards and anime. But as he grows older, one obsession fades while the other stays around and leads to a lifelong addiction to hentai.
My older brother and I both went through that phase at the same time, and that's why we got this game. For the anime reason. It's also why we got this game. For the lizard reason. And this is the game I'm going to be talking about today, so let's get right to it.
The first thing you see when the game starts is 12-year-old Bobby Jenkins, also known as Scaler, being tortured in his neighbor's basement by a military guy from TV being supervised by lizard people. Then he sets the machine too high, which turns Scaler into a lizard. Then he dives through a random portal that opened when the machine overloaded, sending him into another universe, which he assumes is a dream. Now you get control over Scaler, and being a lizard, you can do things lizards do. You run around, jump on things, you can't swim, slide on vines, building up static electricity that can be used for a devastating wide-range attack. You crawl on walls, tongue punch your fart box, and slap around mutant lizards with your claws, which makes a very satisfying sound when you hit them. Not far into the first level, you meet Leon, and since Scaler thinks he's dreaming, he says my favorite line in the game.
Oh, you're one ugly figment of my imagination.
Leon runs off, then you get back to running around and exploring, and eventually run into this creature which Leon calls
My Repidactyl.
Rebel Bevel.
Repidactyl.
Rebel Scum.
Repidactyl!
Ranch dressing.
Leon then gives you the main objective for the game, collecting lizard eggs. You have to go through all kinds of things to get these eggs. Platforming, sliding challenges, crawling along walls, combat arenas, and when you get the eggs, there's always some sort of celebratory animation, and most of the eggs get unique animations. A couple of them get reused, but it always keeps you wondering, is he gonna pop up looking like he's stoned and start doing kung fu? Or will he just balance the egg on his foot again? All these goofy celebrations make it worth fighting your way through all these lizard monsters, and there's a wide variety of them too that need different strategies to beat. The smaller enemies can be swatted away with your tongue, slightly larger things can be stunned so you can close in with your claws. You can also use your tongue to grab distant health or these glowing orange things called crystal gems.
Insert Steven Universe joke.
Then there's the floating orange balls called cloakies, which you can feed to the Repidactyl to buy upgrades.
Yuck! This better work.
Once you get the first egg, you go with Leon on his Repidactyl to the next level, where you are introduced to a unique enemy and a new mechanic along with them. You kill them and devour their souls. Then you turn into one of them and use their abilities to solve puzzles and reach eggs you couldn't get before. The only drawback is, you can't use this transformation on every level. You get a lot of other transformations, but you can only use certain ones in certain levels. You don't get to pick and choose where you use them, and I get why they did it that way. Because everyone would probably just use the flying one to completely break the game if they could. Some of these forms are used very well in levels and boss fights, but a couple of them are not. Like the flying one I just mentioned, you only get to use it in this level for just one egg that you get by flying through rings, then flying through a tunnel without touching the walls or any other obstacle. Then you never use it again. Why didn't they include some sort of boss fight for this form? The only thing to shoot like this are these seahorse-looking things and these giant space fish, and there is no point to killing them either. They don't attack you unless you fly directly behind them, and they don't give you any cloakies when they die. They just catch fire and go down like the Hindenburg. Oh, the humanity! It seems that there are 2 levels between each boss fight, and after each boss fight, there's more plot revealed. kill this guy, and Leon tells you that Luger, that's the bad guy's name by the way, plans to clone the mutant lizard that just hatched from that egg and send them out to invade the entire multiverse. Kill Luger's henchmen, then Leon starts remembering things he forgot while being tortured. Then you fly backwards shooting at a giant crab, and if you said that to someone in any other context, they'd picture something like this. Then Leon remembers he's your dad, shoot a giant serpent's eyes out, then you get a lesson on multiverse theory and portal travel, then finally you fight Luger and escape back to Earth with all the lizard eggs, but Leon doesn't make it through the portal. As for the bosses themselves, they're all gimmicky puzzle bosses like in Zelda, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Each one is unique, and a couple of them are actually challenging. As for level design, this game does a decent enough job of making the same few things stay interesting. There's a healthy balance of platforming, combat, and puzzle solving in each stage. A few levels begin these arcade-style shooting segments while you fly around looking for a landing spot. Every level has a different aesthetic, and there's always something going on. You don't just have an empty, boring skybox to stare out at. There are dragons and other things flying around, making each level feel like an actual world and not just an obstacle course floating in the void.
Don't think I'm done here just yet. I got some things to complain about. For example, do you know how many eggs there are in the game? There are 20 of them, so it's not a very long game. But do you know how many eggs you need to beat the game? You need 20 of them.
Why do you need to get all of the primary collectibles to beat the game? You don't need to get all 120 stars in Super Mario 64 to beat that. I understand why you need to get all the eggs for the purpose of plot relevance, but if there's just one challenge that's too hard for you, that's it. You're screwed. When I was a kid, I struggled with that flying tunnel challenge because I couldn't be bothered to read and learn that I could quick turn, but you should not make 100% completion mandatory for beating the game. For unlocking a secret ending, it's fine, but you could be a little more lenient for the standard ending. I know I already mentioned the underused forms you get. Most of them have uses outside the one level built entirely around them, but the flying and swimming forms are only used for a Superman 64 and solving things that barely even qualify as puzzles. There is so much wasted potential here. Did the developers run out of time or money or something? And the climbing sections are all basically the same. Just a few mechanical spiders and explosive fruit to watch out for, with the occasional giant worm slithering around, and they're all used to cross wide gaps, which could be done a lot faster with the vine sliding. Lastly, look at Scaler. He looks like he's gotta go fast.
Scaler is very much a product of its time, an early 2000s platformer similar to Super Mario 64 in some regards. But in spite of its flaws, I really enjoy this game and would recommend playing it if you got the chance.
I can always learn how to read. That's something I need to do properly. But me no like reading. Reading's for nerds. Once you get the first egg with the... Well, that weren't very good now, were it? Kill Loogie. That is not his name. That's the thing that spits out of your mouth when you spit.
Don't think I'm done here just yet. Do you know... I need to take a look at that script.